Hey everyone, welcome to the Bitcoin video update for today. It is January 8th, 2020, and we are just looking at an open here in the United States and want to take a look at the price action this morning. And I want to take a look and zoom out and take a look at things from a much high level perspective, not really to give any indication of what's going to happen in the next couple hours, but um, there's a lot of talk about, we're starting the new bull run. Everybody's getting really bullish, all of that stuff. How's it going, Yogi? Good to see you. But what I want to do is I want to take a look at this from a higher level perspective and just talk about algos and how algos work and what algos are in play and all of that. I've got a chart here that I want to open up, and it's a Bitstamp chart. I don't pull this up very often because I tend to be pretty unpopular when I do, but I'm going to go ahead and pull it up anyway. And what this is a chart of Bitcoin from its all-time high to its 2018 low to its high in 2019. And from an algo perspective, I can't ignore this. And what this is we've got our high up here, and let me just go ahead and just magnet right to that. And then we have our low down here. And I'm on a log scale. Let me get out of log scale onto a linear scale. And we got rejected right here at the 618. And it was darn near perfect. We had rejection at the 618. We went a little deep, probably to the 65 or so if I had to guess. Let me just go ahead and pull the 65 on here. And it was at 65, right on the money. I mean, honestly, it couldn't have gotten any better than that. That's a golden zone rejection on Bitcoin. So I want to focus on that rejection that we got there. And even on a linear scale, although I do prefer on a weekly time frame, I do prefer the log scale um, to be used here. But even on a linear scale, this channel that it's in, that's being created by this pitchfork is, it's being honored. It's still being honored even to this day. Even with the price as high as it is, it's still being honored. Now, if I go to a log scale, it's still being honored. It looks a little better in my opinion. We're kind of on a higher channel here as far as the lower goes, but the upper is still being maintained, and that to me, makes it hard for me to be extremely bullish. And we are approaching the top of this, which the top of this is right here at, I would say probably $8,700. 8,700 right on the money there. And we're still sitting right here below this resistance level, which I've had for a while. But on a weekly time frame, let's just take a look at some things and see if we can find some confluence. Now that we've got this up here, this level right here where we had our closure, um, when we had our big push up, this is something that's going to be important for us. We have a weekly candle closure there, a weekly candle open, obviously, the next week. We had some wicks down here. We had our candle closure here. So this was strong support, and now it became extremely strong resistance because, we remember this week that I have highlighted right here. This was a 16% week from open to close, but if you take into account the wicks, from all the way down here, all the way up here to the top, and it would be about right there. That was a 40% week. That was significant. But we had strong resistance there. So I have no reason to believe that our resistance is going to continue to be strong as we move forward through there. So this is going to be an important level for us to push through. Also, taking a look on the horizontal over to 2018, we have strong resistance here, we had support here, and we had support here. So this level is going to be pretty extremely important for us to push through. That's at 9,500. So I would say if we do push up and out of this, this is going to be the end of our wave 3 if we do push up and out. And then we're probably going to consolidate above this green line. And this is the bullish scenario, obviously. So this still remains to be seen. We're going to be consolidating above this green line here that's being created by this pitchfork. For us to continue to move up and higher to create our, basically our first wave of our next degree on a higher degree. Um, so if this is a 1 and this is a 2, then our third wave has started and we are basically in the 1 of the 3. Okay, so that's taking prices much, much higher. Still, in my opinion, we've got to close. And taking a look at this here, let's just go ahead and pull our next level of interest, which is going to be this level right here, which we're actually trading above at the moment. So let's pull this out and move this over. Okay, so on this level, what we have, I'm going to go ahead and circle these to highlight them. We have strong support here. We had support again here. We have support in this level once we were able to trade back into it. Then we had strong resistance. And then we had some resistance, which then ended up becoming support. Okay, and then we had support here, and now we are approaching resistance again. So this level, which happens to be almost exactly where we're at right now, we'll just call it 8,200. That's going to be important for us to push through. We need to close a weekly, which we're only on Wednesday here. We have to close a weekly above 8,200. How's it going, Todd? Good to see you in here. All right, so we need to close a weekly above 8,200. All right, so I'm not even looking at moving averages right now. Okay, now if we take a look at moving averages, let me just go ahead and put those on here so that we can see what the moving averages look like. And I'm also interested in what the volume profile looks like here. So we are basically touching the 21 exponential here on the weekly. So the 21 exponential you can see here is 81.77. We're trading above it at the moment. Now this is on a weekly time frame. If we can close, we're seeing a lot of confluence with this level right here. We're seeing horizontal support and resistance levels that we're trying to push up above right now on a weekly time frame. We see the 21 exponential on the weekly that we're trying to push up above right now. Definitely we can see where our support is. Our support is sitting right here at the 100 exponential on the weekly. So we have plenty of support here. Now if this breaks, that's not looking too good. Likely coming back down to the 200 weekly, which is where we sprung off of in 2018. Possible for us to come back down here. It is possible for us to come back down to this level. Taking a look at the volume profile, our most agreed upon price right now is sitting right here at about $3,800. All right, so just take that with a grain of salt. But what I'm really trying to say there is if we do break below 6,200, it's going to be very easy for us to come down here to this 200 exponential, which is where our next large or high volume node is here on the volume profile. It's going to be sitting right here at about 5,200. So coming down to this lower is not out of the question. But now, again, I don't want to be super bearish. I don't want to be super bullish or anything like that. What I'm simply saying here is we are sitting right at resistance, and we are approaching even heavier resistance, in my opinion. Now, if we do break above this, and guys, we have time for this. We have plenty of time for this to play out. If we're going to be super bullish, I will probably flip the bull switch if we close a daily above 8,400. If we close above 8,400, then I do think that this is probably going to be taken out. But that's on a daily time frame, not an hourly. I'm not concerned about the hourly. I'm more concerned about the daily time frame. Let me move down to a daily and just take a look and see why I have that bias. Okay, so we have our same channel here, and we're on a log scale. All right, so what I'm looking at, and actually I'm going to flip to a linear scale just for this particular measurement. And I talk about this all the time. I kind of talked about this in my video yesterday. We hit our algo target. Okay, so we're starting down here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and try and get this as precise as possible. So we have our pivot low, our pivot high, and then down here to our pivot low, which is going to be about right here. So we hit our 123.6. And so far, this daily candle is not looking convincing for a move to the upside. We have rejected about half of that candle so far. We're sitting here at just shy of 8,300. If this comes down on the daily, and by the way, we still have a good 10 hours left on this daily. If this comes back down here to about the 8150, even to the 8200 level, I do say that there is a high degree of probability that we will come back down at least to test this 100 exponential, which is going to be right around 7950. Maybe when this finally does work out, it's going to be at 8,000. Very possible that that happens. It's possible that it comes even lower. You know, I'm not going to say that just quite yet. But a rejection here at the 123.6 extension, this is a potential target for just an ABC correction. So our targets for an ABC correction are either the 618, the 100, or the 123.6. Okay. If we close this daily above 84.25, then I do think that the likelihood of getting us up here to this 1618, which would be the target for the 3, but that's the logical target for the 3. Obviously, it can go higher than that. The 200 exponential on the daily is sitting up here at about 9,200. So, you know, that's also not going to be necessarily out of the question. Depends on how many days it takes for this to work itself out. Nonetheless, if we can close the daily above this 123.6, then I do think the 1618 is a logical target next, which is going to be at 8,900. Now, if that happens, then I do think that, you know, at least short term, I'm going to have some bullish sentiment. But, you know, for the time being, I'm saying right now this rejection that we're having currently on this 123.6 does lead me to have a slightly bearish bias short term. Just because I have a bearish bias short term doesn't mean that this thing can't fly. It's just simply saying that on the volume, going back to the weekly, let's go back to the weekly and let's just be real honest with each other. Let me move this up and out of here. I'm going to get rid of the volume profile, and I'm going to get rid of some of those other things that we have down below. On the weekly time frame, take a look at the volume here. All right, so obviously we had large volume on the sell-off, which, you know, paled in comparison to this volume over here where we had lots of support. This is our highest volume node, and that's when we hit 6K for the first time in our bear market. Okay. And we have lower volume, lower volume, lower volume. I mean, look at the volume that we have even this week. Now, granted, we're only halfway through this week, so there's still, you know, plenty of time for this volume to increase. But, you know, we're still, you know, again, paling in comparison to what we have, what we had back in October. So keep an eye on that. You know, keep an eye on this pitchfork. Again, I'm watching for this to work itself out. You know, if we can push up above this 87, 8800 level, then I think that there is potential for us to get this rejection here at 9400, come back and retest 8200, and then we see a move up to the upside. That would be our 1, 2, 3, 4 for the retest, and then 5 to move up. And you know where that up goes, I'm not sure, but in my opinion, that would be just a 1, and then we would still come back down here probably for another retest of the 2, and then we then finally move up and we try and break this all-time high. But we still have to break through this green line, which we haven't been able to do yet. Again, we're talking about golden zone rejection, and technically the target for that, I don't even want to talk about where the target for that would be, because it would be, you know, a hit of this median line. You know, you have a 60% probability that we hit this median line. And the longer we go, the lower this is. You know, I'm not discounting a touch of, you know, 5,800. I'm not discounting that. I still think that it's possible for that to happen. And that would be another retest of this lower, you know, this lower right here. The 200 moving average on the weekly is sitting here at 5,100. It's possible. Now, I'm not saying that the likelihood is 100%, but I have to be cautious here in this zone and wait to see what happens. You know, very possible we do pull back. We're still sitting here just shy of 8,300. Wait to see what happens, because, you know, looking here on a 5-minute time frame, you know, we had, you know, look that we could be moving up higher, and then we just had a big candle down. So we went from 84, you know, 84.20 down here to 82.20. So that's a $200 move up and a $200 move down. And that's pretty interesting if you ask me. So I'm being very cautious. I'm being very cautious. This was a high volume dump here. So in perspective on a 5-minute candle, this was a decent amount of volume compared to the previous hour or so. So again, just being very cautious here, just waiting to see what happens. We did create a little bit of a lower low. We did hit our resistance level, which then could be confirmed as support. So that's pretty interesting. But still keeping an eye here. This is very fluid. Waiting to see what happens. If we take out this high here, I'm going to be waiting to see what happens at 85 to 8,800, and then I'll be taking it from there. But for right now, my bias does have to be leaning towards bearish, at least short term, and then we'll kind of wait to see what happens as we try to defend some of this this cluster down here where we had a push down and then a push up. So waiting to see what happens. It's still keeping a little bit of a bearish bias. Otherwise, that's really all that I have on Bitcoin that I did want to mention. So just be cautious, especially if you're doing leverage trades. I'd be very careful shorting here. But nonetheless, I wouldn't be buying here. I wouldn't be buying at least for a while. But wherever you're in the world, hopefully you're having a good day, a good night, a good evening. And if this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And always happy to have you all in here. So have a good one.